Hello everyone, today I'm going to be taking a look at a new range of 30mm miniatures from Traders Galaxy. This is Beat 'em Up Level 1. Okay, so I'm going to be taking a look at the Beat 'em Up miniatures for the 30mm Traders Galaxy skirmish game. And just before we kick off, here's how they come. So they are resin miniatures. They'll either be a one-piece sculpt or they'll be a bit of assembly. Nothing is more than a couple of arms on at most. Because of the design, they're quite nice character for models, but without a ton of building on them. So I thought I'd show you those first, and then we'll shuffle those out of the way. May as well start with the goons. So this is very much a callback to the classic 80s and possibly even 90s arcade beat 'em ups, the likes of your Double Dragon, your Streets of Rage, things like that. Mooks come in and get beaten up, then goons come in and then finally finish off with a boss. And that's the same sort of thing here. So there are 2 packs of thugs. They're the same character in 2 different poses. So I'll show you pack 1 first. And they look very 80s indeed. I mean, look at that flat top. You land a helicopter on it. So even though these are just your generic thugs, they've got some really nice character to them, especially Gordo here with his little Lenin-like glasses, his biker jacket with the symbol on the sleeve, things like that. And finally we have a big tough goon, Tyrone. The quality on the casting is excellent. There's a couple, I've not done any clean up yet, there's a couple of mold lines to clean on Tyrone and on one of the later figures, but in the main it's very difficult to actually spot them. So that's pack 1. Pack 2 is the same characters but in a slightly different pose. So here we have Tyrone ready to kick off, as opposed to just flexing at you. And then Gordo punching. So these ones are all more aggressive. As is always the case, you walk onto any new level on a game and they'll be standing at the back showing off to their mates, and then you'll advance and they'll suddenly come towards you fighting. It also means when you come to paint these up, you do one in reds and one in blues, because that's how it works. You always have duplicate villains in different coloured pixel. Really like his the Skull and Crossbones gang motif shows up as tattoos or biker jackets, what have you. So there, kind of sweet. And flat top, my flat top. He has a bit of a guile-like feel to him. And indeed, if you want to paint him up that way, you can. So those are our thugs. Then, of course, you need bosses. So there are 2 bosses in a pack, and they come in 2 different poses. So this is our Crusher, a massive fat wrestler. He's actually the biggest model. So he comes in at a mighty, almost 40mm to eye level. Probably 38, 39, although his head is tilted back so you can laugh. Or there he is in angry action pose, spinning away. Again, really nice detail sculpted onto his big boy onesie, so you don't have to paint that on freehand. You can just color code it. And the second villain, second boss, is our martial artist token, or Tokan, depending on how you pronounce that K. Hair up in a bun, high kicking and ready to fight. And as always, the bigger boss is probably going to be the smaller, harder one to fight. And these are your more standard 30mm resins, so they come in around 28mm to eye level. Some a bit higher, some a bit smaller, you know, as is. But again, beautiful sculpts, very understated, but for one-piece models they look terrific. Then we have our heroes. So we're going to start off with our fighter Wong. As you can see, another martial artist style. And if you want to see him high kicking towards his opponent, there you go. Very Double Dragon-esque. I feel like painting him up in yellow. Go for the full game of death. We have Sydney, fighter and tactician. We have Chuck, our ex-police officer, now Hawaiian shirt wearing fighter. Answering the question, what if Magnum did steroids? We have Wes, All-American football player. Again, and hopefully the camera picks this up, see the detail on the face and on the grill, on the helmet there. It's absolutely superb. And we finish off with the classic beat 'em up pose for John. So, model-wise, absolutely gorgeous. Really, really nice casting, as I've come to expect from Trader Galaxy now, to be fair. Everything they do is spot on. And the sculpts and the crispness of the casting here is just an absolute joy. I thought there'd be a lot more cleanup. The few bits of seam line I'm going to have to clean up will be done by the medium of a very thin grade wire wool, because there's no need to take anything else to it. As far as the game goes, Beat 'em Up is a skirmish game. Now, there are two ways to play it. By that, I mean the core Traders Galaxy 30mm rules is a skirmish game. Play on a 3x3. And like all skirmish games, you play a points value against your opponent, which is the number up here. So if I wanted Wong and Sydney, it would cost me the low price of 25 of your finest points. I'll go through the cards in a minute. But that's just if you want to play a basic even points balanced game, 1v1. However, where Beat 'em Up shines, and the only way I will be playing Beat 'em Up, is in the classic side-scrolling arcade game style, where you literally play a side-scroller on the tabletop. You divide your board into 9 sections, and in those 9 sections, you build your table with your terrain, and then your heroes are selected. So it's a game for 2 to 5 players. One will play the villain, and then the others will each play a hero. And each time you enter a section on your board, you'll draw one of these spawn cards. So there are 2 types of spawn cards. There are boss cards, and there are your generic spawn cards. and it tells you here how many heroes you have in play. So if you're playing against one, you're playing, 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 or 4-on-1. So each of your heroes will tell you how many thugs and goons are spawned in. So you shuffle this and deal it randomly into an area. It also tells you hidden power-ups, and power-ups can be used in conjunction with your other abilities to help you out, or in the case of cash money, you can save it, and then after you've completed the level, you can level up your character with new abilities. So they get progressively better as you fight through levels. So the bad guys we've just looked at there are for level 1, and the idea is Traders Galaxy will add new bad guys, new maps, like the Coils lab filled with experiments and evil scientists and robots. And each of those levels will get progressively harder, so you can play like a campaign. With the things here, these refer to the dice. So there are specific dice which are familiar to people who've played Bot War. Essentially, these are them. You have your lowest value dice, which has the most blanks and least numbers on them. You have and these are used for sort of defending yourself in combat. You have your attack dice, which has got 1 blank and 1 triple. And then you have your critical, no blanks, and all the punchy, as you can see. So when you enter an area, if you're playing a 2-player game, you'd roll 1 A3, which is your attack dice. And then you'd have 2 plus 1 thug, so 3 thugs and a goon. And then to place those on the board, you grab your thug cards and you do it strategy rating wise. So here we have each of our thuglets. As you can see, Gomez and friends there. And then at the end, Tyrone is our goon. Strategy rating here is the important thing because they come out in rating order and you can't have duplicates until you've completed a set, essentially. So for our 3, we'd have to start with a Gomez, then we'd have Max, and then we'd have Eugene. So that's strategy 4, 5, 6. And then Tyrone would also be in that area. And that is how you would pick your characters or your villains to fight against. The hidden power-ups are, as they say, hidden. So you can place them under destructible things or in areas for people to search. When you set up your board, you'll set up a certain amount of terrain in each section. And that's down to the GM who's controlling the villains. And they choose where these hidden power-ups go. So the strength, which changes your attack dice into critical dice, but only for that section that you're in, that zone that you're in, is very, very fighty indeed. So good to have looted at the start of the zone, but if you take it just as you've killed the last mook and then you're about to move into a new zone, that's a bit of a waste. So run around and smash everything while there's still things to kill in the area is my suggestion there. If we take a look at our heroes, have a look at Sydney here. So if you're playing the beat 'em up version, you don't need to worry about the points. That's only if you're playing a matched sort of game. But we have our stat line at the bottom and then your various information here. The important ones to focus on is this. So this little green heroic token. So she has 2, which is pretty standard for the heroes across the board. She has tactician, courage, combat, and then the stat line here, strategy, movement in inches, ranged attack, how many dice you roll, close attack, how many dice you roll, shield, how many dice, and hit points, and then at the end, any unique abilities. So this unit swaps 1 A3 dice for 1 C3 die in close combat attack. So her normal attack would be 3 dice. However, with her scissor kick ability, she will do that. which is great because it increases the amount of damage she can do. Now, these abilities up here, Tactician, Courage and Combat, you can spend a heroic token to do these abilities, and it will tell you in the rules. So Combat, you can spend a heroic token to add 1 attack dice in. If she was defending an attack, she'd be using her shield value, which is the lower yellow dice, but she gets 4 of them. However, she could use Courage, spend a heroic token, and gain another shield dice instead. These tokens, you can find them as power-ups in the level itself, in the zones, but you also get them back every time you move into a new section of your map. So you've got 9 sections to progress through. So you're always going to be churning through heroic abilities. Doesn't matter how many waves of thugs are coming at you, you should be knocking people left, right and centre. Tactician is a fun little ability that she has, where she can choose an ally and move their strategy up or down by 3, and that's the order of activation. So if you're too far away to do your big ability and you want the thugs to come in close on maybe somebody like Wes, then you'd wait, push him back in the strategy order, or maybe he's in a prime position and you don't want him to die, so you push his strategy rating lower and get him to activate faster. So that's basically how the system works. There are a few other interesting little things though. The first interesting little thing, if I grab Huang, so he has a couple of other abilities. So he can re-roll attack dice once per zone. So a zone is one of those 9 sections. He also has a double kick. So it allows him to change out dice or to gain dice. So he could be taking his 3 attack dice, swapping 1 for a critical, and then when he rolls them, because of this ability, he can re-roll 2 attack dice. And obviously you want to re-roll because you want to beat your opponent's shield value as you're punching back and forward and do more damage. But there are also combo abilities available to the heroes only and some of the high level boss characters. And so if you get a double, you get to do something like an ear clap that will give you an extra attack dice to add into your roll. And then maybe if you rolled another 2, that would turn that into a spinning crane kick that would knock back all the enemies in the area. There's even a double and triple for a 0. So even if you haven't fluff a roll, you've still got a potential to do something cool as you do that left, right, spin the joystick, A, B, mash the buttons, and put these combos together. And the way I was looking at it was, you can ramp up then. So you might get a double that gives you an extra dice that turns into a triple. That might allow you to do something else like knock down all the thugs in an area, or fire off a fireball. So there's a 333 will automatically destroy any low-level thug in base contact. And if there are none in base contact, then instead you'll get to do a ranged fireball at an opponent instead. So it's a fun little way of bringing the beat-em-up mechanics into the game. Apart from the dice, and these are a limited version that have been done for beat-em-up with exploding fists, but they work the same way as the Bot War dice set do, and they've got the same blanks, so if you've got a set of those already, you're good to go. But you can also get the little tokens with these dice for a limited time, so you can look at a pile of gold or baseball bats, and some of the thug cards will actually tell you that a thug will spawn with a baseball bat. So maybe he'll come in with that. He'll get a bonus to his damage. However, when you kill him or knock him down, he drops it on the floor, and just like in a beat 'em up game, you can pick it up then. So you can fight your way through the levels like that. Those are really fun little things to do. there's also a couple of other pieces that Traders Galaxy have done. One is a little destructible terrain pack that contains some Traders Galaxy Cola vending machine, telephone box, which is like a classic American 80s one, you know, all brushed steel, white and blue. And they also match size-wise with the characters. So people can be knocked into those, or in the case of things like the mailboxes or the barrels or even the parking meters, you can pick them up and use them as weapons or hurl them at your opponent to do more damage, which is always hilarious. And I really like these as well. So nice casts. They've been cast diagonally, so you've got one mold line to clean up on the top, which I don't even know if you can. Oh, you can. There you go. You can see that seam line there. But it means the other seams run along the corner edges and so are fairly seamless, if you'll use the expression. Allowing you to punch your way to freedom and victory. As part of the Kickstarter, they also unlocked an additional hero and villain. So our hero is Igor Dragon, a Red Star State fighter who didn't want to be turned into a cyborg for the war effort and defected. He's now a street fighter. And as you can see, he'll quite happily punch anybody. And if they die, they die. He's a cracking looking fellow. And then we have a secret boss. So generally bosses spawn in on section 4 and section 9. So midway and then at the very last section you go into. But you can add in Roland as a secret boss. And as you can see, he's a bit of a monster. Also able to do some of the heroic abilities like the other bosses can. Only this time it'll be your heroes being driven into the tarmac. So these are available separately from the others. The hero set is one, then there's 2 thug sets, and then there's the boss set. But the rules and the cards you can print out at home yourself for free. So the full Trader Galaxy skirmish game and the beat 'em up adaptation for that game are both available online on the Trader Galaxy website if you want to check that out. So there we go. If you fancy doing some 1980s arcade side-scrolling action, but on the tabletop, then you can do it with beat 'em up. A couple of things. This is level 1. Level 2 is already on the website, which brings you into a Coil's evil lab. Includes some Green Clan ninjas for you to fight and beat up, which is always good fun. Second thing, had confirmation from Anthony that you don't roll up and add to make extended combos. So whatever your initial roll is, that's what you make your combos out of for your attacks. And then if you get to roll extra dice, that's just for pure damage. However, if you're playing amongst friends at home and you want to try and see what happens if you do the button mashing, extra dice can perform to increase combo size. I think it's worth a go. You never know what you're going to end up with, although it may turn into a bit of a one-sided affair for the heroes until you come up against the boss at the end, I suppose. But anyway, let me know what you think of the level 1 figures, and if you're going to get involved in beat 'em up from Traders Galaxy. It certainly seems like it's going to be an awful lot of fun. Until next time, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.